Hey everyone, Mark and Joey here on a Monday morning, a beautiful day from Ontario, Canada. If you're a new listener, that's where we live, and you're a professional golfer getting a chance to get out a lot now. It was really bad for so long in the spring, getting some beautiful weather here, and that leads us to the golf, which is the PGA. And the PGA event this week was kind of blah, and except for the winner. There's a story with them, but certainly none of the top guys that we would want to win events every week were there, really scoring well in any threat. But one guy goes out and just destroys the field. It's amazing. And he has the coolest story, which was very sad that it's come full circle.
Great, yeah.
No, I mean, very sad, but it's cool on this end where he's now won.
Well, first I want to say this is an ongoing problem with the PGA Tour this year. For whatever reason, no close events. They've all been blowouts. And really, the most we've had is no playoffs. I don't think I can remember. We haven't had many even close in the final round. And they fall back for one moment, and then they go back on and win by 2 or 3. So really, this, again, continues a streak of really boring golf, and I don't know why.
And older players is coming back to winning, so I don't know what's changed, but a lot of guys in their 30s winning again.
It's like they've tried to hurt the young kids somehow, or maybe the young kids just aren't playing well.
I don't know.
But it's older guys, it's guys with not necessarily bombers off the tee. Obviously, everybody's long these days, like 295, but not 320 guys out there. And this is another example, but it's just weird that there's not been many close events. I don't know if that's due to the schedule, but it's been pretty boring, to be honest, most Sundays. But anyways, it was an inaugural event this week. First event in the state of Michigan since 2009. And Nate Lashie, and again, we don't know the name. You probably don't know the name. After this week, you will. He shot unbelievable scores this week, won really easily. He's in his 30s now. But the story is, and it's very sad, like you said, it starts out sad, but ends up being a heartwarming and kind of cool moment for him, I'm sure, was when he was a top college player, actually ranked number 1 at one point, was winning an NCAA tournament. His parents came to fly out to watch him play. His dad's a pilot. In bad weather, they flew out to come watch him play. The plane sadly did crash, and everyone on board, that included his dad, his mom, and his girlfriend, all passed away in the tiny plane crash on way to watch him play golf. And there's nothing that could hit you more like that. It's always sad. And like Nick Faldo was saying, we see guys go from rags to riches all the time, and that's always a good moment. But something like this is just hard to really grasp. To lose your parents and your girlfriend, you're only still in college, is obviously devastating. And it also turned him away from the game of golf for quite a while. He basically quit. Didn't really want to give it a go because being at golf courses obviously remind him of these moments, and I don't blame him. And finally, his life is kind of like hit a point where it kind of passes a little bit.
Time always makes it happen.
He met a new woman, probably helped him a little bit. And you just grow up, and eventually, you realize you can't live in those moments. You gotta live your life, and it's sad, but you unfortunately do have to move on. And he was able to finally do that at the age of 30, and here he is as a rookie on the PGA Tour. He gets his first win this week, well earned. You're always going to maybe wonder what if, because he sounds like he was so talented back home, back in the day.
But regardless, I think he won that.
He won that tournament.
That day.
He won that tournament.
They didn't tell him anything.
He didn't know until after. But anyways, he obviously was going to be a great player, a lot of talent. And here he is finally. And who knows what he might do going forward. But regardless, you're always going to probably wonder what if. Well, he stopped that by coming back out, and now he gets a win here. A very heartwarming story, and I can't imagine the emotion he went through finally winning after all these years.
And 30s is a pretty good decade for golfers. Like people, in lots of sports, 30 means you're close to retirement, or you're broken down. You play hockey, you play football, you play some of these tougher sports. In fact, he could have a fantastic decade in his 30s. He obviously, not playing, has, avoided any injuries. He's got, he's going to be in perfect health coming into his 30s. A lot of guys aren't that way, a lot of bad backs and things like that. We might see a guy, a rising star here, that the 30s will be a fantastic decade for him.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely could be. Unfortunately, for golf's sake, he's not a known name yet, and he might become one, but, starting late, he's not going to make a run, like a record run, but he could be great if he could have a great career. And I think people would like to see that. Obviously, what a story. Everyone now knows it, and it's hard not to root for a guy like that. So regardless, I don't know what he's going to do going forward, but it's good to see him get this win. Obviously, it's so much talent. Put it away, arguably the right choice, because that must have been so difficult to be reminded, to be at the thing you love, which was probably playing golf for him, and then being reminded of the worst moment of your life. I just really couldn't imagine. So I'm glad he finally came back, and here he is, and he wins in his first year. So it shows you the talent that he naturally has.
Yeah.
And maybe you're right. Maybe he could have a, like a Kuchar career or something. He already has a win. Maybe he can get a major. Something along those lines would be great to see, I think, and it'd be a great story. And this shows again, though, never give up on your dreams, because obviously he did give up at one point. But when he decided to come back, he was still able to make it. He was still able to commit. He was able to put in the time.
And he's in the right sport that coming back at 30, you can do that.
Definitely.
Most sports, you can't all of a sudden show up as a 30-year-old and get back on a team.
Especially with a background. We always try to mention this with people. Backgrounds are sometimes really important. Now, I know there's guys with no backgrounds who went on to make it, but someone like him who was trying to go back at it, the best thing he could have done was remember his great play background and obviously try to block out that memory as much as possible. That was obviously
and he certainly still has the game. That's the great thing,
he
right?
tried unbelievable.
This was a fantastic event for him. There's two things that help in sports. One is the right guys winning, the right teams winning that, continually raise up this sport. But inspirational stories are unbelievable in sports. The amount of times you see these inspirational stories, they are fantastic to see. We're always so happy for the people that overcome tragedy, overcome being put down their whole lives, whatever it may be, and then come out on top. So it's another one of these weeks, and we hope with his talent, this guy might be around and have a 30s career that might be pretty special.
Well, yeah, and I think regardless of it, it's already special. I know that for sure, but you're right. If he could do something, that'd be cool. If he can maybe do well enough at one point to get on a Ryder Cup team or a President's Cup team, I think it'd be a really cool story. But you're right. It's one of these sports. Golf's one of these sports not more than anything, but probably the most dramatic because you're not so good, so young that you're guaranteed. You probably know you're going to get a contract, probably going to make the NBA or the NFL, and you get money right off the bat. Golf's not that way, so you get stories all the time about, like Nick Fell said, rags to riches. Doc Redman finished 12th on the Mackenzie Tour. This week he finished 2nd on the PGA Tour, now his temporary status, and gets to go to the British Open, and made $500,000. So golf is very much that type of sport. So great stories here of a tournament that really didn't provide much as far as your favorites being there, as far as closeness being there. But if you want some stories, this was the week. Go Google some of these players. It was one of those leaderboards that you will just go wow and realize, these guys are out there. They're out there every week and you just don't notice, and they're doing what they can to make their moment happen. And a couple of guys got their moment this week. Like I said, as much as it was Nate Lashley coming back from all that, Doc Redman is as good of a story finishing 2nd this week after being 12th in the Mackenzie Tour the week before. It's kind of amazing how that can happen too. So,
well, we know the one thing about golfers: you run in streaks because of your positive feelings about your game. We were even looking at the scorecard of several of the guys on the leaderboard on the weekend, trying who are these guys? They're the type of guys that are missing 4 and 5 cuts. Then all of a sudden they get 3 good weeks out of nowhere. That's the way they are. You guys get motivated and positive, and all of a sudden the game goes well. This is really not an unusual situation, but it takes a lot to put a full career together, which is where the stars come in. But as you're saying, one of the difficulties for the game of golf, and we're not sure about the schedule, but because the majors are so close together now, are all the top players only focused on the majors? Like, in between, we're not getting the typical guys winning, and that's a problem, I think, for the PGA as well.
And I do think it's because even though we feel like we have top guys every week, we never have fields with a lot of top guys every week. It's 2 or 3, maybe more like 5 top guys. Like, and when I mean
they're not
top,
playing great golf.
I mean like top 25. Well, they're not playing great golf. They're taking so many weeks off. They played so much early in the season for the Masters because they knew when major season came around, they didn't want to have to play much because of the majors.
It's every 4 weeks.
And they had to play 15 events, so they played a lot early, and you saw big names win big events early. And then kind of since the Masters, you'll see like a couple of guys each week, but they got to spread it out because their majors are so close together. They can only play once or twice in between majors, and that's saying a lot. So
In fact, Brooks is the only guy who will step up and say it because he's that kind of guy. But I bet there's a lot of players with the same mindset that Brooks Koepka has this year, which is the majors are always most important. We know these guys. They got tons of money. They got tons of victories. If they win a in-between week, that's good. But for them, it doesn't really matter. It's all about the majors. But now we've created a schedule that the majors are so close together. I think there's more guys, and only Brooks would say it, that are actually not working that hard to win these events in between. Well, they're working on what they need to work on to be ready for that next major.
I totally agree, and I think that's exactly what you're looking at here is guys working on their games to get ready for majors. With majors being so close, they don't feel the pressure to win regular events because they go like, it's only 3 weeks away before I get to play another major. So, 100% agree on that one.
And they need to last for the FedEx Cup. Like, and no matter what we want to say, and we're one of those events that Canadian. We had a great field there, but really, the $10 million is what is really they're after once you get past the majors, right? So, a lot of these guys I think are prepping, and the in between events are getting them, but losing them at the top. They're just not that worried about it.
Well, yeah, and like I said, I agree with you there. I think part of it is they just can't play this great at golf that often, and they know that if they were winning regular events, what are the odds that they're going to win the majors as well, right? It's just hard to win a lot of events these days on the PGA Tour. It's hard to win really more than 2, and maybe more than 3.
Back-to-back is
back-to-back's really hard. So I think they're also looking at the fact that if I put all my effort and actually win one of these regular weeks, the odds are not in my favor to go win a major now they're so close together. So
we saw Rory do that. Actually, a good point there. He wins the Canadian Open by monster strokes,
numbers,
but can't go back next week and repeat it. The U.S.
Well,
Open,
and he was
right?
close to the U.S. Open. At the end of the day, I think Gary Williams just kind of won it because even Brooks really played well. But I don't totally blame that on Rory, but I do agree that it's a factor. No one ever wins the week before and then wins the major.
Yeah.
Also, though, it's just facts that the number of wins, unless you're going to break out and have a 6-win season, the odds are if you're winning regular events, you're not probably going to win majors because no one's really won 5 or 6 events
anymore
since Tiger.
Yeah.
So no one's really doing that. I have no faith anyone do it. So they're looking at it going, if I'm only going to win 2 events a year, I can only really win 1 regular event and try to win some majors. And even if you win 3 events, it's 2 regular ones, 1 major, 1 regular one, 2 majors, something like that. But the majors are too close that they can easily mail these in before you win about 2 months from the Masters US Open. Well, they wanted to get a win in that stretch because there's big events. And really, it was necessary because if they waited for the majors, that's a long time to finish 25th all the time.
Yeah.
But now, they don't really care because they only play 1 event in between these majors. So here's what you're going to see. A power pack beginning of the schedule, which they're okay with and they kind of like it in the PGA Tour. Power pack early start of the season. All these big guys winning, going for it all. And then once the Masters hit, it's all about the 4 majors. They'll play in between weeks. They might get a win here or there, but they're not going to put everything on it to win.
I think we're seeing lots of new guys on leaderboards.
Yeah, they're trying to just be ready for these majors. Now, the majors provided great leaderboards. Unfortunately, they really haven't been close, except for the Masters that Tiger won. That's a great winner. You got Brooks to win the PGA. Willen winning the U.S. Open in Matter Golf, although clearly great guy. So obviously that might propel him for a great career in the 30s too. So you've had great leaderboards at the majors and a great winner at each major. So at least the majors have been very, very successful.
Yeah.
But these regular weeks are just, unfortunately, not close. They're pretty boring, and it's just I guess the way the schedule is because it's the only thing that's different from this year compared to last year. And all these older guys I think are winning because the older guys are trying to win these events. These are the events that are important to them. I think you said why are the older guys winning? Well, Kuchar winning these events means as much to him as it does win a major. He's never won much. So same with Ches Reavie at 37. Well, now this is his chance because the young guys are waiting for the majors. Nate Lashley, all these guys now, these events have become their majors. Because they may not even get into the majors if they don't do well. So, it's just a change of the guard. And
then the FedEx Cup, you got to stay healthy. You can't pound away at a full schedule.
They go
and go to $10 million and not be healthy.
Well, and they go the British Open, World Golf Championship, week off, then 3 straight weeks of the FedEx Cup.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna see 1 or 2 things. One, you might see the World Championship skipped by quite a few guys. But if you don't, then I guarantee stage 1 of the FedEx Cup will be skipped by probably
everybody in the top 30.
5 to 10 guys, probably. I'd say the first week you'll see skips.
They're going to get a rest in there somewhere.
There's going to be a week that suffers. There always is, and they've risked it all on this schedule. In my mind, you should have put the British Open, the Wyndham Championship, then the World Golf Championship, and then 3 straight weeks FedEx Cup. That means they would have to play 4 weeks. I think it's more likely they'd play 4 weeks with a gap between British and the World Golf Championship. Then they will play British World Golf Championship 1 week off and then play 3 straight weeks. I don't see that happening because of the time change. I think they're either skip the World Golf Championship or skip the first week of the FedEx Cup. Probably the first week of the FedEx Cup will be sacrificed here. But kind of disappointed to be honest so far. Not that I'm ever disappointed for these guys winning, but they're definitely the closeness of these events have not been exciting like last year.
And you're making a great point here on that World Golf Championship because they all like to play those. Yeah. They got great fields, right? So we could be looking at there that they are going to skip that first week of the FedEx Cup. They lose nothing by doing it, especially the guys in the top. They're getting the next week anyway. So anyway, lots of interesting stuff coming up on the PGA Tour. We'll be here to cover for you. we're happy for this week's winner. Inspirational story, and that could be as good as a top player winning, from a fan perspective. So congratulations, and we'll be back with more PGA Wednesday for a PGA show. Sorry we missed this week. It was a little bit of a holiday week with the Canada holiday. We were in and out, but we'll be back Wednesday with our show leading up this week.